Good evening. This is Maestro Critello with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today we have a 3v3 on Calderis Refinery. Our first player today is Discreet. Or is he? He is playing as the Farseer, the Eldar Farseer, melee hero for the Eldar. She's an okay fighter, but she's really more about all the spells that she has. She starts out with Guide, increases the damage of a targeted allied squad, and she's got a lot of other tricky spells up her sleeve, many for buffing and debuffing, some for control and disabling, and a few for damage as well. Next up, we've got 17th Juju Sharpshooters. He's always changing his name to something, like a number, 5th, 17th, 18th Juju, and then something. Here he is playing as the Lord General. The Lord General is the only hero who is a squad. He's got a retinue, starts out with just 2 stormtroopers. You can also get a Commissar, a Sergeant, and a Vox Operator. He also has got a bunch of warriors, every single one of which has an ability that will buff his troops. Next up, we've got Black Relic playing as the Commissar Lord. Here, just standing around, letting his multi-laser turret do the work. He is a slightly tanky melee hero. He starts off with a sword, an energy shield, and a las pistol, which he can use to execute his own troops. It will give them a 100% damage buff, but it does prevent them from retreating for a time. Next up, on the other team, across the other side of the street from the Imperial Guard, we've got Dontadin playing as the Plague Champion. The Plague Champion is a Chaos Marine dedicated to the god of Nurgle. Starts out with a damage over time bolter. He is also able to heal with Mucus Discharge. He can repair, he can build turrets, and his worship also heals. Alright, next up, we've got a Force Commander down on the ground, this being played by Deathgod, the god of death. And right now we can see that he's quite dead. He's playing as a Force Commander, tanky melee hero, usually tough to kill, but in this case he's dead on the ground. He can absorb damage, deal damage out, he can disrupt things with Battlecry, and he can also buff his own troops with Battlecry as well. And then lastly, we've got PanicCheck playing as yet another Lord General, because I'm in command, that's why. Alright. So, we've got a Force Commander down on the ground. That's about the most eventful thing that I think has happened. A Chaos Space Marine model was definitely lost despite being in cover and being worshipped by Nurgle worship, but I think just a lot of damage coming out from the combination of the Guardsman, the Sentinel, and the multi-laser turret that probably just overwhelmed those Chaos Space Marines. Right now we've got Dontadin going for a very ranged-heavy build. It's kind of an expensive build. It's kind of an expensive range damage build, but it's also very durable. And this is something that I'd say works pretty uniquely with the Plague Champion, and not as well with the other Chaos heroes. Certainly not as well with the Sorcerer at all, and then not even quite as good as the Chaos Lord, even though the Chaos Lord tends to be more versatile, and you can definitely make double Chaos Space Marine builds work with him as well. But what Dontadin is doing, he's got just double Eternal War Chaos Space Marines. He's got his Plague Champion as well. He's going to support them with Nurgle worship. It's just going to make them. It's just going to make a really painful defensive wall of ranged fire. However, it looks like it is getting disrupted. The worship is getting dislodged, and ultimately, it's actually not working that well for Dontadin much at all. In part because we've got a Commissar Lord already upgraded to the Power Sword, which means he can use the Lead by Example ability, which does increase his speed, as well as make him do special attacks with every strike, and that speed increase does help him to get in very quickly. And right now, Dontadin doesn't really have anything that he can use to control. He's got a lot of range damage, should be able to focus down the Commissar Lord as long as his squads aren't getting disrupted by the Artillery Spotter, which is actually exactly what happened. Meanwhile, over here, it looks like we've got PanicCheck as well as, mainly PanicCheck. It looks like he's getting a little bit pushed back, in part because he was getting doubled by both Discreet and 17th Juju Sharpshooters, but here is Deathgod with the assist. One squad of Guardsmen actually in quite a bit of trouble, but I think they're not going to die. Yeah, they won't die, but definitely the red team taking advantage in this engagement now. We do have double flamer attacks. That is very interesting from Deathgod. Double flamer attacks. I feel like you don't see that very often. Certainly double attacks in general is a lot of durable range fire. But, you know, I actually think that double flamer attacks could potentially be pretty strong against the primarily infantry armies that we got coming out of Juju and Discreet. Now, I don't remember if Juju had a Sentinel and lost it or never bought one. I'm going to say I think he never bought one. So right now, both Juju and Discreet, they've got entirely infantry-based armies, especially Discreet now with triple Dire Avengers, and they're going to actually be pretty vulnerable to the Flamer attack, I think. And somehow this... we had the Commissar Lord charging in, but then he got disrupted by his own Catachan Devils, which I think may have actually ruined the engagement a little bit for him. He's still going to be able to manage it. The main thing he's got to worry about is Catachan Devils are moving forward, but they're at a little bit of risk. I think they're trying to go after... They're actually going after the Heretics, and they nearly wiped the Heretics, but they may in turn get wiped themselves. If we had some forced melee from these Chaos Space Marines, if they were just a little more... if he had just paid attention to that opportunity, and if he had force melee'd with the Chaos Space Marines, I think that could have been the end for him, but... Meanwhile, back over here, double Flamer attacks getting forced off. So far, they have not lost a model, but this is a huge wall of range damage, and PanicCheck needs to be very, very careful with this Sentinel because there's so much range damage that can threaten it. The Dire Avengers in particular are scary because they're just a little bit faster, especially with triple. You can really rush the Sentinel. Oh my god, grenades going in. He's not going to be able to dodge everything, and he takes a lot of damage, and now his Sentinel is in a terrible position. He needs to move it back now. And Dire Avengers can even chase sometimes with Fleet of Foot, even though that reduces their damage output. They still can chase, and I mean, look at that. That is absolutely devastating. And PanicCheck, at least this time, paying attention, so he hasn't lost the Sentinel. Meanwhile, take a look at this. This is definitely going to require some kind of assist from a teammate because Black Relic is now locked in his base at double turrets. This is kind of mean by Dontadin, but I mean, do what you got to do. I don't know what Black Relic can do. I think he really, really needs a teammate assist. I don't think there's anything else he can actually do about this. Wow, he actually very brazenly sends the Commissar Lord in. The Heavy Bolter turret, actually, it had its range. Its range was reduced twice. First by the Basilisk Flare, and then also by the Blind Shell from the Artillery Spotter. That allowed the Commissar Lord to get in, but he still wasn't quite able to finish. I think they might actually be able to take it out, and Black Relic actually doing pretty well, using what he had, and actually managed to take out one of the turrets by himself. That was actually very well done. I feel like a lot of players there probably would not have been able to deal with even one turret, let alone two, and now we do have the assist by 17 Juju Sharpshooters, just because that really was just going to be too much for Black Relic to deal with on his own. Even though he did amazingly well, all things considered, considering he was by himself, and now Dontadin has actually lost that advantage pretty much, and he spent a lot of resources on those turrets, and although it was scary for Black Relic, I don't think a lot of bad stuff actually happened to him. Actually, well, the worst thing that happened here was that did give the Noise Marines time to just bash this full power farm, which could set the blue team back a bit in tech. Luckily, this is a team game, and if anything, it looks like they had, until that generator bash, they had the tech lead, so they might actually come out of this not too bad at all. Grenades, an old reliable goes in, trying to finish off the Noise Marines, and actually the Noise Marines managed to get finished off, and overall, this is actually not going as well for Dontadin as it was looking just a minute ago. Meanwhile, back over here, we've still got these triple Dire Avengers. I mean, that's going to be a huge amount of damage. We even have Doom going off on the Sentinel. The Farseer has upgraded to the Doombringer. She casts Doom on the Sentinel, which does make it take more damage. Increases its received damage, which, I mean, in combination with triple Dire Avengers and also a Guardian weapon team, that can be pretty tough. That being said, a lot of these units are getting disrupted by the Catachan Devils. I don't know what they're doing right there, though. They were being buffed by the Commissar Lord's move ability, which comes from the grenade launchers. But I don't know what they were going to do there. They had no energy. That means both the shotgun and old reliable was on cooldown, and they didn't have much health left either, so that charge was a little ill-advised. Lucky to not actually lose much from it. He lost 4 models, which is not good, to be honest. They do cost 2 power to reinforce. Although, I mean, I'd actually say, considering how relatively infrequently Catachan models die, I'd say the bleed isn't a very big issue with them. Alright, blue team moving back in the middle. Meanwhile, we've got a bunker going down right here. This seems like a strangely placed bunker. My expectation is, let's see, this belongs to PanicCheck, my expectation is that he's probably going to make this a repair bunker so that he can just move the Sentinel back here. I think a Medi bunker would be a better place. Nope, he actually goes for a Medi bunker. I think that would be better placed somewhere in the middle of the map to help him hold the middle VP. That being said, grenades go in. Man, look at those grenades. Actually, mostly miss, and somehow I feel like the guardsmen got really lucky there, whereas the Dire Avengers absolutely did not. That being said, we've got a Wraithguard purchase now out for Discreet. That's probably gonna make PanicCheck's life pretty tough. Meanwhile, we've got Black Relic's guardsmen moving around. They're actually taking the natural VP from Dontadin. Dontadin, in part, must be moving somewhere else, or he's just entirely in his base. Dontadin, I think, does not quite have enough units, in part because he spent so many resources. Ooh, that must have been an execute. No, that can't be an execute, because that belonged to Juju Sharpshooters. Yeah, but either way, he lost the guardsman squad there, I feel like, somewhat unnecessarily. His Lord Generals around here, I think he had them buffed as well by the sniper rifle, which means they should have had increased range, which means they shouldn't have been that close either. Anyway, now we have some Catachan Devils. These are executed Catachan Devils. They have Inspired Determination, but they really don't have enough health. You might want to get the Aura of Discipline to complement that, I think, if the Commissar is going to run around by the Catachan Devils. We still have these double flame attacks. They've also got Sergeants, but they're low on health, and I think they really want to be careful messing around with a Sentinel, a missile launcher Sentinel, when they have this little health. Anyway, we've got some guardsmen running around here. They're actually just running around. I actually feel like it would be worth their while to put pressure on the Sentinel. As long as they've got these plasma guns, they could probably DPS right through that repair rate of the guardsmen. Maybe not, but I feel like they could at least put some pressure on them, scare them. Meanwhile, now our double Chaos Space Marines are chasing after the guardsmen over here. The Chaos Space Marines do not yet have any upgrade, but we do have a Chaos Dreadnought out for Dontadin. And these Chaos Space Marines could probably use some kind of mark. They are level 2. One is at level 2 at least. The other one is also level 2. And there we go with some more Inspired Determination. Catachan Devils, they're actually going straight in for melee. Look at the damage they are doing to these Catachan Devils. That being said, I think we should have a Shotgun Blast to knock over the Chaos Space Marines. Actually goes for a close-range Old Reliable and only knocks down the Commissar Lord, so that did not actually go that well. Meanwhile, we have a Manticore now in a lot of trouble, and it looks like Discreet was just going to move right in with the Wraithguard, and I mean, he probably could just take out the Manticore with the Wraithguard. He's actually blasting things apart. And is he going to hit his own bunker? Yeah, he's going to hit his own bunker, which is going to damage the bunker, but look at the anti-garrison damage it does. A Manticore does count as anti-garrison. I believe its damage was actually reduced a bit in Elite Mod. I think it was a little too good as anti-garrison back in retail. And look at this. We've got a Terminator Force Commander from Deathgod. Right now, he doesn't have any kind of ranged weapons, or rather, he has a ranged weapon. He doesn't have any kind of upgraded weapon. He's got that starting Stormbolter. Actually gives the Force Commander pretty good range damage, as well as he's got a heavy melee Power Fist.
An exarch emerges from the Wolfspider Shrine.
Plague Champion has upgraded himself a little bit. He's got the Mucus Discharge as well as the Plague Fist, and the Plague Fist I think will help him deal with the Commissar Lord. I think the Commissar Lord has been one of Dontadin's biggest headaches, just with the way he can run in and tie things up, although actually he's not able to tie things up at all now. But the Plague Champion, that's unfortunately not really how you use the Plague Champion. He's, to the extent that he's a melee hero, you're supposed to be using him defensively, as you kind of hang him back, and then whatever comes and approaches your Chaos Blob is going to get messed up by the Plague Champion once he hits Pestilence Strike and just starts hitting you and stuff. But overall, we've got a Plague Cloud that did a lot of damage to these guardsmen as well as the Catachan Devils, but didn't kill them, and he actually just toughed it out. Man, look at that. Look at how badly the Chaos Heretics got messed up because they got hit by Old Reliable while standing on top of a bunch of mines. Meanwhile, over here, this is still PanicCheck. He's still running around. Man, He's really having a lot of trouble with this Wraith Guard. I think it's resulting in him really being pushed back in his base. He's not. They're not suffering that much as a team for it, but I think maybe it's time for PanicCheck. He's going to tier 3. I was wondering if maybe he should just go for Catachan for Ogrins as a way of putting pressure on the Wraith Guard, but he'd still have to worry about his Ogrins getting suppressed by the Guardian weapon team, getting controlled by the Farseer if she decides to switch to Doom, or, well, she does have, I mean, not Doom, Mind War. However, she does have the Psychic Storm ability, which she can use that to control the Ogrins. But it can just be very, very tough to deal with these Wraith Guard as Imperial Guard, a unit that is very, very effective against Imperial Guard because of the fact that they lack jump units. Anyway, I don't know why Deathgod is backing off. I think he should actually push forward. And here goes some Psychic Storm, suppressing a lot of these guardsmen. They are being buffed a little bit by the incoming ability from the Lord General's Flak Jacket. And, well, Lord General just ends up getting out of there. And now Deathgod's getting hit a little too hard. He's actually about to get tripled, and all he's got are 2 attacks. He's got his Plasma Cannon Devastators. They're actually not really hitting much, and they're about to get hit themselves by the Wraith Guard, and they just need to retreat out of there. That did not go well at all for Deathgod. Blue team looking very, very strong right now. Managed to get a revive on the Farseer. So far, I feel like the Wraith Guard are just not adequately dealt with on PanicCheck's side. He's in tier 3, doesn't really have the resources to even get like a tier 3 unit out. And meanwhile, we've got Deathgod going for a Land Raider Phobos. That's interesting, potentially dangerous. The Wraith Guard could be very, very powerful against a Land Raider Phobos. And we've got double Dreadnoughts on the field from Dontadin. Double Dreadnoughts can be strong, and yet at the same time, we've got blue team players going to tier 3, and I do feel that Dreadnoughts, although they're very strong in tier 2, I actually feel that they don't scale that well into tier 3 because they really do get outclassed by a lot of the tier 3 vehicles, which end up countering them pretty hard. Meanwhile, Manticore Strike goes in. Oh my god, hits them very, very hard. One guardsman squad nearly dead. Catachan Devils got hit pretty hard as well, and they couldn't retreat. Meanwhile, we do have, I mean, one thing we can definitely say about Dontadin right now is that he's got a massive amount of range fire coming out. Unfortunately, his repair support just got hit a little bit and lost a bunch of models. That being said, I think between a double Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines and a Chaos Dreadnought, he really does have a lot of range firepower, but this is part of the risk. Now suddenly we've got a Leman Russ out on the field, called in that must have been by 17 Juju Sharpshooters without costing any power, and this is pretty much the big deal on the field right now. It's definitely going to counter the Dreadnought, even more so if it upgrades to the Vanquisher, which it is doing. The Dreadnoughts can damage the Leman Russ, but the Leman Russ can always kite the Dreadnoughts, while the Dreadnoughts cannot kite the Leman Russ. That being said, we need some repair support for the Dreadnought as well. I mean, or for the Leman Russ. At least one of the things that Dontadin is doing is when one of his Dreadnoughts is getting hit a little too hard, he backs that one off and then moves the other one forward, but he doesn't really have enough repair support to support it all. Although he does have a Plague Champion who can repair, so maybe he does have 2 repair units. I sometimes forget that. Usually going for a double vehicle play as Chaos when you only have 1 Heretic squad is usually a bad idea, but I think you can make it work a bit more with the Plague Champion because he is himself a repair unit. He's also got the Fetid armor. Actually, a triple cap for the red team though, and they've got a VP lead, of course, because they have a triple cap, and it's starting to tick down in their favor. 261 to 313. Discreet is pushing back out. He's had some pretty good unit preservation. I don't think he's lost any squads whatsoever, although actually a lot of the players haven't lost squads that much. Ooh, that could potentially be really bad. That is a time field from the Farseer. Just kind of slows the movement speed of everything in the field, as well as preventing them from attacking or using their abilities. Can be very, very tough. Meanwhile, we've got a Land Raider Redeemer out from Deathgod. Deathgod has so many resources that he could put out something else on the field. I'm guessing he wants to get Terminators at this point. He's got the red, he's got the resources. PanicCheck getting a Leman Russ of his own. And we do have a Baneblade from Black Relic. Here we go, and here goes this bunker. Anyway, I don't know entirely what Discreet was doing that time, but he kind of wow, am I dumb. He kind of found himself walking into a double that he didn't really need to be in. Manticore strikes going in. Manticores are pretty powerful against Land Raiders, so here this is invariably or undoubtedly a Assault Terminator call-in. Where is the Eldritch? Why was the Eldritch over there? Save the Eldritch for the vehicles. I don't even know what it hit. It didn't look like it actually did that much, but save the Eldritch for the vehicles. Meanwhile, something that's definitely potentially exciting is that we do have 3 Imperial Guard players. We could see some rocket runs. It looks like Black Relic has been spending his red on Commissar flares, however, but PanicCheck has got enough for a rocket run. Could definitely kill a lot of stuff with the rocket run. Meanwhile, we actually have a Lightning Claw Force Commander Terminator. You don't see that often. Usually you see like usually you see the Heavy Flamer with the Force Commander Terminator. Anyway. But blue team, well, red team had the triple cap for a little while, but blue team definitely taking it. Now, the Tzeentch Dreadnought does do quite a bit of AV damage, but it's still definitely countered by something like a Baneblade or most other tier 3 tanks. Demolisher cannon shot going in, but wow. That thing just got completely obliterated. I didn't even see what all it was that took that out. Meanwhile, oh man. Missed another, that must have been an orbital bombardment. But it didn't look like it actually wiped squads. Tack's in a little bit of trouble right now, and so is this Land Raider Redeemer. These Tacks at this point, I mean, the Flamers were nice for a while, but he might want to switch. I think he would be best off with missile launchers on those Tacks at this point against those Baneblades. Here we go. Is that going to be a Singularity? Yes, that's going to be a Singularity. It's going to pull in some Devastator models. Actually pulls in some friendly Catachan Devils, which is pretty scary. But those, yeah, those double Tacks, I feel like they would be best off with missile launchers at this point. And, I mean, people usually frown upon, like, double missile launcher Tacks, but, I mean, at this point we've got a Baneblade, we've got a Leman Russ. The red team really needs all the AV they can get, and there's really nothing that's going to be, nothing else that's going to be, I think, as scary as the Baneblade as well as the Leman Russ for them at the moment. What's more, 17 Juju Sharpshooters is actually at the point. Actually, he doesn't have the pop to get another Leman Russ, but if you could free up some population to put another Leman Russ on the field, that'd actually be really, really scary. A time field goes in, but I don't know what that's going to do right here. Meanwhile, I don't know where Dontadin is going exactly. He's just kind of running around. He's going to bash some generators. Maybe he just wants the red, or he just wants... He can also force movement, but he needs to be very careful. The Leman Russ is now chasing, or coming over here, and it looks like this is 17 Juju Sharpshooters going to intercept. I actually think the positioning of the Leman Russ is now not so good, but I think the Chaos Dreadnoughts are going for the Manticore, but actually I feel like it's a better idea that they turn on the Leman Russ. Hit the Leman Russ now as hard as you possibly can. He's unfortunately a squad of Chaos Space Marines definitely going to die here. But yeah, these, I don't know what these Dreadnoughts are doing. I feel like their best shot was to go for the Leman Russ. He's going really hard for the, he's going all in for the Manticore. I don't know if he's even going to get it. Alright, he does finish off the Manticore, but I don't know if that was worth the risk as much as taking out the Leman Russ. If anything, he's definitely going to lose at least one of these Dreadnoughts, if not both. I think he should turn around, go for the Leman Russ while he still can. Try to hit the Leman Russ. I don't even think he's going to be able to finish the Leman Russ if it's being microed, but right now, this is Juju. He's not microing. He's just going to replace it. Now he's going to lose this Leman Russ. Unfortunately, I feel like, wow, the Leman Russ still hasn't died, but it's definitely going to die. Yeah, I feel like that Leman Russ died very unnecessarily, and the Chaos Dreadnought actually stands to do a lot of damage to the Baneblade as long as it's focusing on other targets, but it is turning around, so I think it's, yeah, I think it's maybe going to try to refocus on the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought should not win here, but it's going to do as much damage as it can. Dontadin losing a lot of stuff. Catachan Devil is going to get wiped if they're not careful, and the Baneblade does not go down, still has quite, well, still's got 600 health. And Dontadin just lost most of his army, and I feel very unnecessarily. And we've got 2 bunkers right here, apparently belonging to different teams. Oh my god, that Singularity nearly wiped that Gartham squad. 2 out of 2 models, 2 out of 12 models left. Now, one thing this Plasma Cannon Devastator could do is, well, I was going to say it could shoot at the Lord General while he's inside the bunker, as it is going to use it potentially just to destroy the bunker, which is a great use of the Plasma Cannon Devastator. So one bunker goes down, he can shoot the other one as well, he shouldn't know where it is. And here's another Lehman Russ, so we've got Lehman Russes all over the place, one here, one here. Unfortunately for the red team, this Baneblade now back to about 2,000 hit points. And we do have the switch to those double missile launchers, which I think was pretty much the necessary upgrade. They pretty much just needed whatever AV they could get, and it was just way more worth it to have missile launchers on those tac squads than flamers at this point late in the game with Baneblades out on the field. My God, I missed whatever happened over here. There's a lot of, unfortunately, there's so much stuff going on that there's a lot of stuff to miss. And a Manticore takes, oh my God, wow, I can't believe how quickly that Lehman Russ died, but I think it was getting hit by the Manticore, also got snared by the Las Cannon Devastator, and then of course we did have these Terminators. Terminators might be in a lot of trouble right though. I'm guessing they used their teleport to go after that Lehman Russ, and now they're being chased down by some Bionic Eye. Oh man, and while I'm watching Bionic Eye, we had another rocket run hitting a bunch of stuff, wiping much of PanicCheck's army. And the Terminators actually managed to get out of there alive and managed to save 2 of their models, so they did pretty well there. Meanwhile, Commissar Lord's not going to achieve much here without either a Power Fist or a Power Claw. Alright, meanwhile, Lehman Russ is in a little bit of trouble, but the follow-up damage is actually getting tied up and forced off. Catachan Devils right here, actually being pretty scary with the combination of incoming as well as move, and that's actually turning out to be a pretty counter to the Wraith Guard. Pretty good counter to the Wraith Guard. I don't know what the Lehman Russ is doing. It had no chance against the Baneblade. Demolisher Cannon. Oh my God, that Demolisher Cannon. 2 models went down from the Demolisher Cannon, another one went down in retreat, and we've got some Manticore shots as well as Terminators just wailing on this Baneblade, doing a lot of damage. Meanwhile, Dontadin's got a huge amount of resources, but he hasn't chosen to buy anything new in a while. He's probably going for another super unit. But he could just get a bunch of new stuff out on the field. He could get 2 new squads. He could get a Predator tank as well as like another squad. Meanwhile, Baneblade's now running away from Terminators. Something needs to be done about these Terminators, or they will actually kill the Baneblade. We had Time Field slows them down for a little bit. That just might be enough to save them, but they're still actually chasing after the Baneblade. We even have some repairs from the heavy weapon team of all things. This level 3 heavy weapon team need, wow, there's not even any squads in here to repair aside from just the heavy weapon team. Wow, they actually go all in for the Baneblade. And oh no, I don't know if that was actually going to work out well. Maybe 2 or 3 more hammer hits will do it. But those repairs are actually going in pretty well. Oh my God, what is happening? Why are they not attacking? I can't believe this is happening. Will the Baneblade go down? Just one more hit, and it finally goes down. Now, these Terminators just might pay with their lives. If they get out of here, it'll be pretty miraculous, although there's not really a lot of high damage stuff that will be able to take out the Terminators very effectively. And we actually have some very quick support, so that play actually ended up working and being totally worth it. Meanwhile, we've got a Commissar running around behind, and the blue team has the lead. It looks like we've got a Commissar Lord running around backcapping. And Discreet is now all back in his base. While we've got some Guardsmen. Is that a... Yes, that's an orbital bombardment. And actually, the Guardsmen managed to retreat out of there and not get hit. So, unfortunately, misplayed to not put one of those beams in the retreat path of those Guardsmen. Kind of just went directly for them. And they actually just retreated to safety, which is usually normally the best way to use an orbital bombardment. You bait your opponent into retreating right into the beams. Looks like the play champion here has been down more than once. And I think he's going to go for a Pestilence Strike. Or not. Catachan Devil's just going to run around. Catachan Devil's at this point going to need to get out of there. Not going to be able to deter that cap any longer. know, still got a lot of pressure coming in from PanicCheck over here. Guardsman Squad takes a big hit, getting hit by a time field into a grenade. We've got a Leman Russ here. Still just has the regular battle cannon, which gives it some nice versatility with dealing with both vehicles as well as infantry. Here is yet another rocket run. This one, unfortunately, not quite as juicy as the last, and actually ends up missing a lot of things. That being said, wow, we've got the Leman Russ pushing really, the Leman Russ. The Dire, not the Dire Avengers, God, what are they? The Fire Dragons. The Fire Dragons pushing so hard for that Manticore, and it actually ended up being the Eldritch Storm that took out that Manticore. So Dontadin's now got a Great Unclean One, and I feel like he should get out some kind of new squad. He's got enough resources to put any squad out on the field. Literally any squad. Put out a new squad. Oh man, look at this battlefield. We'll take a look at that again after the game's over. Dontadin, unfortunately, probably going to lose another squad of Chaos Space Marines. At this point, he should definitely get a new squad, because all he has right now is a completely unsupported Great Unclean One that, to be honest, is probably going to die with all the plasma fire we've got going on here. That being said, he goes for an Imperial Abyss, and that Imperial Abyss forces a retreat, and yet at the same time, it killed almost nothing. Great Unclean One's going to go down. And, well, Commissar Lord might die from the Great Unclean One explosion. But Great Unclean One takes too long to explode, so no. So Dontadin now has nothing. He's got a squad of heretics. And VP is now down to 92 to 40, a single cap game. We got PanicCheck trying to get on the VP, but wasn't able to stay on it. Got knocked over by some artillery spotters. Artillery spotters scaling into the late game, disrupting, denying VPs. And Red Team, actually, they're really against the ropes. They've lost so much of their stuff, particularly Dontadin. Whereas the blue team still has quite a bit of an army, despite losing a Baneblade and several bunkers. Terminator's going for the cap, but that's really risky business. I don't like the idea of a rocket run just on the Terminators. I mean, yeah, it knocks them off the point, but I feel like there are just so many better things you could use a rocket run on. Now, Terminators are still alive, still have 3 out of 3 models. Teleport out of there. I don't know if they'll be able to survive, but that might just be just what they needed to get them away from the point. Actually, Terminator's now in quite a bit of trouble with this Leman Russ chasing them, but this Leman Russ is actually being chased by the other Leman Russ and will probably go down. One more tank shot should do it to the rear. But the tank appears to be targeting something else. Tank is targeting something else now. Maybe the las cannon will take a shot? The las cannon, the front-mounted las cannon on the Leman Russ actually finishes off the other Leman Russ. Wow, forget about that las cannon. The front-mounted las cannon on the Leman Russ. Meanwhile, we've got a Chaos Predator out from Dontadin, but I think for him it's a little too late. He doesn't even, having trouble even getting back his natural VP. He needs to get his natural VP now. Really, yeah, they need to get that natural VP back now, and they need to get this Farseer off the VP, because if she captures it, that's probably the end of the game. And that Plague Cloud does not appear to be doing enough. She will get the cap off, and that's going to have to be the end of the game in favor of the blue team. Alright, that's the end of the game, but let's look at the battlefield. Here's where we had that Imperial Abyss. Definitely a lot of explosions went off over here. Look at how deep that crater is. Let's take a look at, here's where things really got crazy. This was probably courtesy, there was probably a rocket run here as well as an orbital bombardment. Look at all the dead guardsmen. For the Emperor, just look at just the battlefield. Are there any? Here's an Eldritch Storm, and you can see like the swirl of the Eldritch Storm. What else happened here? Here's the Baneblade husk. What other interesting things can we find? I think that's mostly it. Yeah, there's definitely some craters in the middle as well, and another Baneblade. This one actually from PanicCheck. All right. Hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.